It's late afternoon, June 24th, 1944. The Norwegian Sea is rough, grey and cold enough to bite through steel. At the controls of a Catalina flying boat sits Flight Lieutenant David "Pop" Hornell, a calm, steady man who's been flying these patrols for months. Same ocean, same silence, same endless horizon. He knows every ripple on that water. And deep down, he knows one day something will rise from beneath it. Then, over the intercom, a voice cracks the quiet. "Hey, Pop, you seeing what I see on the port side?" Hornell glances left. And sure enough, out there, in the distance, a dark shape cuts across the waves. A German U-boat, surfaced and vulnerable. He exhales once, tightens his grip on the yoke. "All right, boys, this is it." He flips the action station alarm, and the Catalina banks hard toward the target. 4 depth charges hang ready under the wings. Down below, aboard U-1225, German lookouts catch sight of the plane. Alarms go off. Boots thunder across the deck. "Flak crew to your guns." 2 crews, 2 machines, 1 moment of fate. The kind of fight both sides had trained their whole lives for. The Catalina rolls into a dive. 4 depth charges hang heavy beneath her wings. Below, aboard U-1225, alarms scream through the steel hull. German sailors rush to the deck, manning the twin 20mm cannons and the 37mm flak gun mounted on the conning tower. Oberleutnant Sir C. Ernst Sauerberg shouts over the chaos, "Turn to port! Bring her guns around!" Then, fire! Explosions rip through the sky. Tracer rounds streak past the cockpit, slicing the air. Hornell grips the controls as the Catalina shudders under a burst of flak. Shrapnel punches holes through the fuselage. 1 fragment tears into the radio compartment. Inside, Sidney Cole, the radio operator, gasps and clutches his side. He's hit, but he doesn't say a word. Instead, he leans forward, blood dripping onto the keys, and starts tapping out their position. He doesn't know the radio's already dead. Cut to inside cockpit. "Starboard engines on fire. Shut it down." "Copy." Hornell's voice is calm, but his eyes tell the story. Laser-focused, refusing to give in. The plane bucks violently as more shells burst nearby. Pieces of the right wing tear away, fluttering into the sea. Every instinct says to pull back, but Hornell keeps her nose down. He's not thinking about glory, only about making the drop count. The front gunner squeezes the trigger. Twin. 303. Brownings hammering away. Bullets rake the U-boat's conning tower, sparks flying from the steel. German gunners fall, one by one. For a moment, it seems like they've silenced the enemy, until a gun jam freezes one of the Brownings. From below, Sauerberg sees his chance. Man the guns. Now the U-boat erupts again in a storm of tracers. Hornell feels his stomach drop. The air around them glows orange from the engine fire. He yells, "Hold on, boys, we're going in!" The Catalina plunges through the smoke, straight toward the enemy. At the last second, Hornell sees the U-boat turning hard to port. He adjusts his line just a few degrees, then releases the depth charges. A low metallic click, followed by 4 thunderous splashes. A moment of silence, then the ocean itself erupts. A wall of water rises hundreds of feet high, swallowing the U-boat whole. It's a hit, direct hit, but inside the Catalina, victory feels hollow. The starboard engine is now a ball of fire, shaking itself apart. Hornell looks up, watches the cowling peel away, the bolts giving out. He knows what's coming. He turns to his men. Brace yourselves. We're going down. The crew grips whatever they can as Hornell fights the controls, trying to land in the raging sea. For a brief moment, he glances at the photo taped near his instrument panel. His wife, smiling, holding a baby. He tightens his jaw. If this is it, we are going home the hard way. The Catalina hits the first wave, bounces, then slams into another. Metal groans, glass shatters. Flames trail behind them like a comet before it finally dies in the freezing spray. The U-boat was gone, but now so was their aircraft. For Hornell and his crew, the fight wasn't over. It was only changing shape. The Catalina is gone. The ocean closes over the wreck, and silence takes its place. Only the wind, the cold, and 7 men fighting to stay alive. Hornell shouts, voice cracking through the surf. Grab the rafts! Get clear of the wreck! 2 dinghies inflate, sliding across the icy water. The men climb aboard, some bleeding, all shaking. Then a flash. The Catalina erupts behind them. A bloom of orange fire that lights their faces and then fades into black. For a moment, there's nothing but the sound of waves. Their world has shrunk to rubber rafts and endless grey water. Hornell starts counting heads. 1, 2, 3. Wait, where's Laurent? They spot him, his raft drifting away in the distance. Paddle! Go! The crew digs their hands into the freezing sea, pushing through the swells. They reach him, just as his raft bursts beneath him. A sharp hiss, then it's gone. Hornell dives in without thinking, his body cutting through the water like a blade. He grabs Laurent by the collar and hauls him back. The others pull both men into the last surviving raft. They're too many. The raft sinks low, water washing over their legs. Someone mutters, "We won't make it." Hornell looks up, calm, eyes half frozen. "Then we'll take turns in the water." And so they do. Hour after hour, he orders rotations, keeping the weakest aboard, while he slips back into the sea again and again. His skin turns white, lips blue, but he refuses to stop. Time blurs. The sky and sea are the same color now, steel gray. Hornell leans back against the rubber edge, staring at the horizon. No sound, no gunfire, no orders. Only his breath, shallow, slow, and the faint creak of the raft beneath him. Then a sound breaks the stillness. Engines. The men look up. A Catalina, one of their own, circles above, flares. Now, a red streak arcs into the sky, hangs for a second, then vanishes into the clouds. No response. Another flare. Nothing. A third. And the plane finally banks toward them. Cheers explode through cracked lips. The rescue Catalina can't land in the storm, but it radios their position. Help is coming, if they can last a little longer. But the sea isn't done with them yet. A rogue wave slams into the raft, tossing the men into the black water. They scramble to right it, clawing, gasping, pulling each other back aboard. Hornell's strength is fading. He can barely lift his arms, but he keeps counting. 1, 2, 3, still here. Hours pass. Another aircraft appears overhead, a bomber this time. It drops a small wooden lifeboat. Hope rises, then sinks. The wind catches it, dragging it hundreds of yards away. Hornell stares at it, a ghost of salvation, and whispers, "I can make it." Blind from salt water, he slides into the sea. The others shout, "No, you'll never make it." They grab him, hold him tight until his body stops struggling. Then a light. A beam sweeps across the waves. A rescue boat. "Contact! We've found them." After 21 hours in the Arctic Sea, The survivors are hauled aboard, half frozen, half alive. Hornell lies motionless on the raft, eyes open, staring into the grey dawn. He watches his men lifted to safety and smiles just once. Then his eyes close. They tried for 4 hours to bring him back, but David Ernest Hornell was gone. He was posthumously awarded the Victoria Cross, the highest honor for bravery. His crew, 5 survivors, lived to tell the story of the man who refused to save himself, so others could live. Slow fade. The sea calms, the light grows, and the voice returns one last time. Heroes aren't made in the moment they fight, but in the moment they stay.